Yay. So just a
Hey guys.
second here. Hello. We're going to jump on over into some Instagram training with you. I'm so glad to have you with us today. And I just want to give you a proper introduction because I did talk about you a little bit at the beginning of the call when you weren't here, but I just wanted everybody to know where you come from. So Travis works with Sage's colleague, Pamela Bruner. And together, some of you have met her at our past events. And together, they have a consulting firm that's helped Women Rocking Business almost double their revenue and create a 25% uplift using social media strategies with mostly Facebook and Instagram. And Travis is super knowledgeable on Instagram, and Sage really leans on him weekly to support the team with building the Women Rocking Business Instagram following. And Travis's team has helped Sage turn $35,000 of ad spend into over $100,000 of revenue. So they're super good at what they do. And as all of you scale, and especially once you're at six figures, you might want to consider working with Travis and their team. So that's why we wanted to have Travis on to give you some Instagram insight. And so I'd love to just open it up to you, Travis, and then we're going to have also Selena speak for a few minutes more around 11:30. So just go from here, Travis.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Instagram. And I loved hearing what you guys are talking about in the few minutes leading up to this about that desire to really be authentic on Instagram and not just be another person who's like, hey, look at this great meal I just had. This is all about me. I'm the best. And there's definitely it's better if you proceed on Instagram authentically. And I think that what we'll look at today will really help hopefully overcome some of those fears and hesitancies with progressing on Instagram. And one of the other things I'm aware of is that some people here are in very different places from each other. So we have some people who have very large Instagram accounts, and some people who haven't even bothered to download Instagram. Like, that's a very big stopper. So hopefully what we talk about today kind of is useful for everyone, no matter where you're at. And we'll have a lot of visuals and examples that kind of make it easier for those who, like me, are very visually inclined.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions before we get started? I'm going to share my screen if that works for you guys.
Let's just jump into you, and then we'll have raised hands afterwards. So I'm going to also lower all the hands that have already been raised so that you can raise them after. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So I'm not going to read word for word. I think that'd be pretty boring for you guys if I just read through a Word doc. And as much as this is a way for us to keep track of what we're talking about, right? So in terms of what Instagram is, I think it's worth talking about because, a lot of people speak about it as this nebulous thing, and it almost becomes this legendary platform capable of so many things that you don't even want to get started. And at its foundation, Instagram is fairly straightforward. It's a really nicely built app for sharing images quickly with people who follow you, right? Like most social media apps that you may be on, the core essence of Instagram is sharing images with followers, and then you also reciprocally following other people and getting to understand either about their business or their life or their dog or whatever they've chosen to share about on their profile. And so the first little bit of this doc kind of walks through some visual examples of what Instagram looks like in case you're not super familiar with Instagram as a platform. You can direct message your friends, or people can reach out to you. It's social media, so especially when we're talking about business, you're going to get people reaching out to connect with you one-on-one. And like Megan was talking about earlier, that's such an amazing part of business. People really want to connect with the you behind the brand. Gone, I think, are the days of a business that is just, there's this brick and mortar building and there's no one who's really the face of this brand. It's very impersonal, and people tend not to like that as much as they really do appreciate someone they can connect with and see pictures of their dog or see that there's a real human being behind the brands that are on Instagram. So I'm happy to share this doc with you guys afterwards. I I've written it in such a way that is informative, but not boring, so that if you do want to read through this and get an understanding, like, I've never used Instagram before, the first couple of pages are really perfect for that. Here we see some examples of what I was talking about with feed posts and Instagram stories, and people being able to direct message you from there. But we'll go ahead and skip down and start talking specifically about Instagram for business, because I think this will be the most relevant for you guys here. So there are two types of accounts that you can have on Instagram, and most of you, I don't know where you're at necessarily in your business right now, but if you have an Instagram, it likely started out as your own personal Instagram account, a way for you to keep up with your friends and a way for them to keep up with you as well. However, with any Instagram account, you can switch it to an Instagram for business account. And there are plenty of walkthroughs that can show you how to make that switch. Thankfully, it's as simple as a few button clicks. And I'm not going to waste your time walking through the specifics of that unless it would be super useful for you. But I'll tell you the why behind why this would be useful for you. And then we'll talk more about how to make this nebulous thing more authentic. And I also have some examples and tips from people who are doing this well later on, and some examples and tips from people we've worked with and other people in the space who will have very useful insights on making your profile beautiful without having to spend every hour of your day trying to curate content. So a couple of cool little stats for you guys. One study found that 72% of respondents purchased items they discovered via Instagram content. Now, for a lot of you, you may not be selling physical products, right? It could be anything from some sort of, video training or some sort of non-physical product or consulting or coaching. And this works in much the same way. And the way I always talk with people about this is a lot of it goes back to your own buying habits and being really self-aware of that. When you meet somebody for the first time, typically you're not just going to buy anything they offer you, right? You want to know a little more about them so that you can, know whether or not you like them, know whether or not you trust them before you're willing to proceed forward with them in business. And Instagram has become probably one of the best places for businesses to build what marketers often call like, know, trust, right? And so that little 3-word catchphrase, like, know, trust, is, in my opinion, one of Instagram's greatest strengths. It's a very visual way of showing people about your brand so that they know whether or not they like you by clicking the like button. They can build that sense of trust with you because now that they know about you, they can get a sense of who you are and what you stand for. And over time, those things lead to them trusting your brand. And Megan was talking about, to one of you guys about feeling inauthentic on Instagram, like, oh, how dare I share about me because that would be so vain. But when people come to Instagram, they like knowing about you. It's figuring out how you communicate in a way that's authentic to you. And I think that if you're truly not a vain person, you're not going to come across as vain. Like, a lot of you have very heart-centered businesses and you're truly trying to make a difference in the world and help other people. If anything, you're going to over-communicate that than under-communicate that, right? Like, I see some heads nodding. Definitely.
Definitely, all of you.
Yeah, like, I would be more concerned with anything of just analysis paralysis, like this fear of not taking action because you don't know the first step to take or where to even begin or how one would even make this useful over time. So we'll talk a little more about that and kind of address those concerns and hopefully make this useful and exciting and something you look forward to doing as opposed to something that, you're afraid of taking action on. So we'll go ahead and talk a little about your photography and branding because you guys were already talking about that. And I had a feeling that would be top of mind for several of you. So there's this idea that your Instagram profile should tell a visual story and tell it consistently. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, you don't have to be perfect. So go ahead and forgive yourself for that. There doesn't need to be this like artistically drawn and curated profile where you've carefully taken your brush and painted all the way down and everything looks like Picasso just mapped this out from the beginning, you know? Instagram is true to life, right? When people are posting on Instagram, most people like the idea of a carefully curated and perfectly branded profile, but 90% of people don't have time for that. So I think it's key to strike a balance with the content you're producing and to show yourself a little grace while you're doing it. Even Pamela, who's my boss, who works alongside of Sage, she's the first to admit that, posting organically on social media, definitely not her cup of tea. She doesn't do it as often as she would like to. And when she does, sometimes she doesn't know always what to post about. However, her strength is, marketing and paid advertising, etc. And so for her, she's willing to lean on our team and lean on others for advice and consideration and, to talk through these things. And that's something that I would definitely use your tribe for. If you're uncertain about what to post about or if something makes sense or communicated, like don't be afraid to ask other people. If anything, you're not going to find out the answers just because you didn't ask, right? So definitely take the time to ask your friends, your colleagues, etc., what they think, and people will tell you. I think if anything, I'm almost afraid of a response sometimes. I just don't ask people, and then hope that something changes. And then when I don't take action, I act surprised that nothing changed, right? So continuing on, we have some notes here from influencers, and the biggest thing I want you guys to really zone in on is this highlight here. Ultimately, Instagram wants people to spend time on that platform. That is the key to every social media platform ever that does paid advertising. And that's the part of the algorithm that's never going to change, because the more time users are spending on these apps, the more time ads can be put in front of people. So the way that is useful to you as a business owner is you want to create content that is authentic, but also engaging and also relevant and also hopefully useful and or interesting and or entertaining for the people who you would like to follow you or follow reciprocally. So it's really easy to overthink that, because when we talk about these things, as in the abstract, it sounds like, oh, there's all these things I really have to remember and do, and like I really want my copy to resonate with my potential ideal clients. But since it is social media, there is a lot of grace that comes along with posting on there. So even though, I'm going to be a bit of a hypocrite for a second, even though I say here that, posting on Brandon regularly is huge, it's not like people are going to stop wanting to do business with you because you didn't post for a month, even though that was your intention, right? If you fell off the track, definitely feel free to jump right back on and start plugging away at expanding your reach on Instagram. Because I think we all know intuitively that these are the places that people are searching for content, discovering content, and taking action. It's whether or not we're participating in essentially real estate purchasing on these platforms. Like, am I willing to share with people about something that means a lot to me so that it can hopefully mean a lot to them as well, so that they can discover what I am passionate about? There are some apps that I wanted to mention to you guys that you're welcome to screenshot and look at later. I find that for some of our clients, they're like, yeah, but I get tired of just posting images and videos or anything else I can do. Those are right here. Boomerang is probably the most popular of those, where it's a video going back and forth, repeating itself. Those are really popular for Instagram stories, which we're about to talk a little more about, which should help with some of the wanting to be authentic that we've talked about. And then we'll talk a little more about some other techniques and examples later on as well. But Layout and Warble, highly recommend Googling them. I don't know that I could do justice to explain them in this time, but everything good so far, Megan? Anything jump out? Any questions?
Great. Yeah, this is a great start. And I love that you have this document that you're going to be able to share with us, because, some of the things that can get, you stopped before you even get started are, how do I do this? Like, where are the buttons that I'm supposed to press? It's a new platform, all this. So I love that you have some of those pieces at the beginning of the document, but it's not the best use of our time now, just like you said, to do that technology piece, because what's true is you can, any of you could just Google those things, and you or your assistant could get those answers. And it's great to use this time that we have with Travis to do some of the more high level questions. So I love that you're just addressing these pieces.
Yeah, for sure. And this document is for you guys. Feel free to download it, edit your own copy, etc. I always encourage people to, some people will throw up all these reasons to why they shouldn't take action in their business. I'm sure you guys talk about this a lot, like either the mental roadblocks or the knowledge roadblocks that really keep you from, taking the next step. And if you're looking to get started, be okay with the fact that what you do early on won't be as good as what you'll be doing later on, but it was necessary to get there, right? Like, people are always worried that they have to make something precise and perfect, and then there'll be this flood of action takers from whatever they do up front. But really, it's in aggregate, like it's in totality that, people are able to go to software like Instagram and see like, oh, this is someone I really care, like I really relate to, be it that they're a mother with kids, or be it that, they have a really random interest in water polo or something, right? And we're looking for those human connections that I think are so key in driving modern business. And I think that's something, if you guys follow Sage at all on Instagram, she's really taken to heart and started doing really well, is finding that personable, relatable side of her brand that people really resonate with. And it's more than just, she does quotes as well, but it's more than just that. We all like quotes, but that doesn't really help us to get to know the person better, right? All right, cool. So we've talked so far about Instagram for business profile, that is something that would be useful to you guys as business owners. And then this concept that there are two types of posts on Instagram. There's a story post, right? So most people think of that as the square post that you see up here on the left side. And then, there's the regular post. And then this is a story, which is a more vertical styled post that you shoot from your phone. So think of that as how you regularly take a picture from your phone. And this one is just cropped square for a regular post. So we'll talk about stories. If you're not familiar, stories are a type of post that disappear after 24 hours. They're made to be very interactive, and hence the name. A lot of brands try to use them to tell a story. So here's an example from one of the blogs I followed that they followed Ben and Jerry's and saw them do this with their story. What does a taco and an ice cream equal? The Chilaco. And so then the third one, they give their call to action. Oh, it's available here for a limited time. And this is something that you guys could absolutely take advantage of as well. Though I'll go ahead and preface this by saying this doesn't have to be strictly promotional. If anything, the strength of Instagram stories comes from the small moments of life that normally you would have never cared to post on something permanent, that you'd love to share with people so they can get an insight to who you are. So they feel more like they're friends with you as opposed to a purely transactional relationship. So this could be something like, face to camera, you're talking to your phone, you're saying, I had this really awesome moment today and I really just wanted to share this with you guys. And it has nothing to do at all with business, but it's intimate, it's personal. It's a way for you to share that, you two are a human being, not just whatever your Instagram handle is, that you're more than that business. And people love that. Like Megan was, we'll talk again about the story where she said that people were asking about, was it your dog or was it a client's dog, or who are you talking about for that?
Yeah, it was my dog, because he's regularly on the Instagram stories. So exactly, people asking about the dog. This is common.
Yeah, so start out sharing your pets, or maybe share, if you're on a vacation, maybe you can share a cool little moment from that. I know that some people are a little hesitant to share vacations because that feels a little vain, but you get the idea, right? Like something casual, something that you found interesting that maybe not everyone in the world finds interesting, but they don't have to, right? And it goes away after 24 hours.
Yeah, and we can come back to the share in a moment. I know Sage wanted me to share a couple things from profile, and I want to share on my screen this example since you're talking about this.
Yeah.
Randomly, I'm trying to go over to the screen share. Okay, so here's my profile. This only started a few months ago, so I still have low, it's 331 followers. So this is just getting going, but we've already gotten clients from this. We already got clients when we were at 150 followers. So this is not about having thousands and thousands of people paying attention to you. And this was just organic following. So we have our, there's the dog. So, but we have regular posts on here, and it is showing kind of a story of, I mean, obviously it's us, and we lead retreats for women in love with women. And so it's all going to be in that kind of theme of love and pride. And so there's a theme, but I want to show you an example of our story yesterday, because I think it'll show on the screen. Yeah. So this is the type of food you'll be eating at our Hawaii retreat. My mouth is watering looking at this, and sushi, and it has a little dancing sushi and hearts. And so you get to share it. People are like, oh, want to move forward. Photos of the beach, romantic strolls to the beach, another beach shot. You can add these little GIFs in to make it more interactive. So this is something we've definitely learned is gets attention. And then I'm going to keep going. Yoga, sound healing, and then there's the call to action. DM us if you want to know more about the Hawaii retreat. So just send us a direct message. And after that, then we sent that in the morning, and then we were going out for lunch. And so we posted the, afternoon lunching, and here's the dog again. And because this is our real life, this is what we do. So that's showing us, and we eat pizza. And this is going to be loud because of Bella having her dog whip at the ice cream parlor and looking happy from that. And so it's just these like little moments. And then we were interviewed on a podcast. So someone posted about being interviewed, and we shared their post, and that gets more attention as well. Because then people see, someone else posted about us too. So social proof. And I don't know what else. Kava Lounge last night. So it shows like what we do in our day. And it's just about adding the things that are naturally happening that we're doing anyway. And we share these little moments so that people can see what we're like. And that's how everyone's Instagram is going to be so different based on how you actually live your life. And this is the thing that can feel risky. And it's like, what if I share pizza and they see that I'm eating meat on it and they're vegan? Well, they know who I am then. That's what I do. And, and if I was vegan, then I'd probably be posting a lot about that too. Mm-hmm. So it's like you get to share really who you are without needing to orchestrate and fabricate like some idea and then try to live up to that idea. I actually have found it to be really freeing to be able to share the stories. And I was so resistant at first.
No, I agree with that. I think that's definitely what gives stories so much power. It's a small way to overcome that timidity to really share with people in the first place. I think at the core, part of it comes down to our own fear of rejection, that we're putting something out there, and then if that's not good enough, people are going to hate us or think less of us or think that, how dare she share that? That's terrible, But most people aren't going to respond negatively, and if they do, thankfully they can just unfollow. We never have to know, like no one's coming to us and being like, your content is the worst.
Yeah, well, I've had some comments for sure. I've had some nasty comments, and especially the niche I'm in, I definitely get some homophobic comments, and then I get to have the satisfaction of blocking those people, or just like, I'm never gonna see you again, and have that moment, and it's done, and I move on to the comments from the people that are saying, changing their lives. So we don't need to give people that attention. We know it's out there, but we do get the satisfaction of blocking them.
Yeah, I love your profile in particular because I think it's such a great example of you don't need tens of thousands of followers. You don't need 1 million followers to make an impact, right?
Yeah. And I want that, but I had to get started. So when I got started a few months ago, I thought, oh, this is terrible. Just getting started, it's going to look pathetic. People aren't going to want to, follow this because there's barely any followers. That's not, from the people that are contacting us and direct messaging us, they're just like, oh, this is awesome, and we love who you are. They're not looking for, a number of followers. Also, they're not thinking in that business mindset like we are, like, oh, it's better if there's all these followers. They just think it's better that we reply to their direct message.
It's true.
Like, that's the good news.
The other part that I wanted to make sure you guys noticed with Megan's walkthrough in particular was, did you notice that when she was clicking through the story, what was she doing at a basic level? What would Instagram be very happy about? Right? She was spending more time on the platform, right? And Instagram is going to reward you for that. When we talk about later on down the line, like what are your end goals as a business owner for Instagram? The dream for all of us is to have that large following that knows how authentic we are and that we're making a difference in their lives through the content we're putting out, right? That you're truly making an impact at the end of the day. And with when it comes time in your business to advertise in a paid way, that organic content that you've been putting out, that really personable, authentic stuff, Instagram will actually reward you for that with increased reach. Those will be people that you can then show advertisements to later who will be more likely to take you up on your offers, and because they have that knowledge of who you are now. You're not just another let me spam you with my ad. You're someone they know, and they'll take an interest in that.
Yes, exactly. And I know that I do want to have Selena pop in because I know you only have about 10 more minutes with us here. So I want to have Selena be able to add in for a few minutes. And for those of you who don't know her, she's an awesome money mindset coach and financial expert for women leaders. She's a total rock star in Leverage and Lotus, and so articulate. And she had a rough year last year personally, and was still able to keep scaling her business and making more money while working less. And I know that Instagram was really part of that for you, Selena. So I would love to have Selena get to share a little bit. She's a total Instagram genius. And I know I've looked at her profile to learn from, and I was just looking at it again this morning and think, oh, there's a lot more that I should be paying attention to here. So I wanted her to get to speak about this for a little bit. And so I've made you a co-host, Selena, if you want to just jump in, and if you want to screen share your profile, or I can as well.
Yeah, you go ahead, Megan. You can pull up my profile. I really love Instagram as a platform because actually a lot of my clients were using it. So some of my clients have nearly 500,000 Instagram followers, and like a few of my clients have a couple of million, like collectively. So it was really good for me to dive in and really learn about it. So at the beginning of last year, I had about 1,100 followers, for context. So this change in my Instagram has been very much organic. This past year, I've brought in close to, it would be over 6 figures now in no paid, just true organic sales. And how that happens has been mostly through my Instagram stories. I've sold a couple hundred online courses from my Instagram stories. I've had people DMing me, which is that direct message in the Instagram platform when I share my stories on my actual posts. So like you'll notice there, a lot of what I'm sharing is words. A lot of them are my own, and I'll tie that back to a personal story. And then people will resonate with it and message me and said, oh, I really relate to this, and they'll tell me why. And you can have conversations. You can literally send them voice note messages. And it's like this beautiful way to connect with people. And I think that's the part that I took really seriously this year, was that I leaned into the fear of sharing my life, because I wasn't really open to that before. Leaned into sharing my life in a way then I watched what people enjoyed and I gave them more of that. So for example, people love my daughter there. They love seeing her. They're always commenting when she's doing goofy things. And it's like, well, what does that have anything to do with business? Well, a lot of the moms will capture. This one you're on right now, I just posted yesterday, that big family group shot. That one's actually a really important one because I shared a piece of really vulnerable information there where I had some struggles. I had to cut out my mom. Our whole family had to cut out my mom because she's really not doing well after like 2 decades of struggle. And you're like, why would you share that? There needs to be a level of discernment. Well, my people are used to that. I got about 40 DM messages from that. People saying, oh my gosh, I really relate. I've sold some programs from that one post because I really just want to show up and be me so that people, when they come into my community, they feel welcome, they feel connection. And for me, it's always people first. And just like Travis had mentioned, like sometimes you go dark on platforms. And this last month, I literally couldn't post because I was going through some personal struggles with my mom. And I showed up on stories and I said, thank you to my community for giving me space and time. And I put a poll on there and I said, do you agree that it's important for us to go into the quiet and feel into what's happening in our life rather than just post because we should be posting for our online businesses? And 150 people responded, yes, go into the quiet, and they send you direct messages. And so I think it's really important that whatever season of life you're in, that you share parts of your story and you share parts of your life, just like Megan was doing when she's going out for pizza. People comment on the most random things. It's hilarious. Like I was shocked at the things people comment on, but all of that is really good ways for you to connect with people. Connection is currency. That's what I teach in my company. Connection is currency. And on Instagram, that's a beautiful way to connect with your community and be who you really are. So what I teach people in my year-long program is how to use Instagram to sell in a way that gets you selling without having to buy paid ads. You can, of course, extrapolate that, just like Travis was saying, and really direct target them after. But just with working with my clients and seeing and testing through their big audiences, I was able to really understand how important the platform is for people who are drawn to Instagram. Because the profile of people drawn to Facebook tends to be a little bit different for Instagram. They expect different things. So you can't just like auto post to all the different areas. It's showing up with intention and saying, what do my people want and how will I serve them? And there's analytics at the back of Instagram, which Travis will likely teach us about when we're working on a business profile rather than a personal. You can see how many people are watching. You can see how many people are replying. You can really get a lot of statistical information. And I'm the token CPA in this program, so I love statistics that can help us utilize ways to sell. And there's a platform I want to talk to you guys about called Linktree. Mm-hmm. And Travis, I don't know if you want to write that in the, maybe that's already in your awesome package for us. But
we're going to get there a little later, but this is awesome. You can talk about it.
This allows you people to join your email list. Like there's a freebie. My freebie is what's your money score? You can go on my Linktree. You can see the podcasts I've been on. Podcasts have been a beautiful thing in Instagram. People share when you're on podcasts, just like what Megan had showed there. People see that. They reshare your quotes. You get a lot of traction. Like I gained thousands of followers this year because people were sharing my words. I've had my quote shared like thousands of times. Sometimes big accounts will get a hold of it and give you credit, and then they'll send you people to your account, and then they'll sign up, or I'll plug in and say,
it's your quotes. Yeah, your quotes. You're not just saying, oh, I'm going to post a bunch of memes from other people. It's your quotes, and that's so awesome because then people see your name below it and you get that attention.
And they come in and they check you out, right? And so I think for Instagram, it's not about just posting to post. It's posting with intention for people. Posting so that you are really communicating with your community about what they want to see and how you can help them. So all of my quotes somehow tie to a story that is soulfully selling them, that gets them inspired to want to work with me, and my stories do the same. But you don't have to post 100 times a day, and you don't have to post, every day, 14 times a day. No. Listen to your soul. Be authentic to you. And then you'll end up seeing traction. Being yourself is the best piece of Instagram. It gives people insight to the behind the scenes of your life. One day I did a behind the scenes of Money Boss, my company. I had like hundreds of people messaging me. They're like, oh my gosh, this was so cool to see a day in your life. Like I literally documented. I'm like, okay, I'm up. Here's my coffee. I had this online call. Here was my year-long program. Oh, here's my husband. He also works at home. Look at him. And he's biting an apple. And people, like 15 people message. They're like, oh my gosh, my husband does the same, you know, and they get all excited about it, just like Megan's dog. So as you can see, I love Instagram. And it's a beautiful platform to expand our businesses in the most heart-centered, spiritually aligned way if you allow for it. The key is, just like everything in this business, to go to the edge and choose your own path. Choose to push past fear and just start sharing. Test it, experiment. And there's so much grace, like Travis said, on Instagram. Like people just want to see other people. They want to see your heart and soul. Now is a perfect time to go to my Instagram, Selena G Money. You can literally see I didn't post for a month. And I have 63 comments under my latest post because people are like, wow, I resonate with what you're saying. And so was it a vulnerable piece? Was it maybe an overshare? Maybe. But I've built a safety net with my community now that, just like Megan, when you get the haters, you send them love and block them and move on.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Selena. That's so valuable. I love that you're here to add in. And I know that you have to hop off in a minute. So is there anything else you wanted to say before you go? And then we're going to hop back to Travis.
Just try and just watch other people you admire and see what they're up to and do your own version of that. I call it filtering through your own inner richness. If you're following accounts that inspire you, do an iteration of that on your own. Make it very you, because people go on the platform to learn about you. That whole concept of vanity, that's like what people care about, is learning more about you. That's why they follow you. So lean into the parts of you that others want to know about. Lean into the parts of your business that you want to share, and be your highest self and be true to you, because that's when you get followers. It's not about posting, it's the energy behind it that's most important. And that's when I started seeing my platform really change. Like I wake up and almost every day I sell a course on Instagram that I've done nothing for, because I've put investment into the platform by showing up and serving and leading with love and serving some more. And then people buy my courses on my Linktree. So go ahead and take a look. Does my Instagram have room for improvement? Absolutely, because like always, we pour more into our clients than ourselves. But that's the whole point. Take messy, inspired action and be perfectly imperfect, and your people will love you just because you're you. And that's it.
Awesome, Selena. Thank you so much. And again, people can follow you at Selena G Money. So Selena G Money.
And like, even if you don't want the right handle, like I didn't want that handle. I wanted Selena Gray, you know, but my client was like, you're Selena G Money. I'm like, okay. So I picked that handle, right? And when you go on stage, you can tell people to send you a DM on Instagram. Like when we do all of our speaking engagements, I've had literally $30,000 clients come from a DM, and you can too. I'm doing it. You can do it. Incorporate it into your speaking set, where you're like, follow me on Instagram, join my community. They can get the freebie directly from there. So it's just another thing to add to your toolkit at Women Rocking Business.
Thank you.
Much love, everyone. I gotta go. Bye.
Bye. Mwah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, back to you, Travis, because I know you had more that you wanted to share, and I know that Selena swept up some of your points, but we'll open it up for some questions too.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. There's always more that one can talk about, but I'm happy to go ahead and jump into questions and then send people this document, unless you want to spend more time on that.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so I know, Debbie, you've had your hand up for a while about questions. Pop in first. So we'll just do one question per person for these last 15 minutes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Hi, Travis.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I have an Instagram page that I have been, so I'm one of those people, like my whole brand is all about authenticity, but I'm one of those people that just, Instagram just doesn't really resonate for me. And I'm just like, I love other platforms a lot more. So I was really trying to pay someone else to do it, and have just come to a place of realizing that without me vested in it, Instagram just doesn't get any traction. I'm in a place right now where I'm actually really, really stepping into a big way of like fully launching my jewelry brand. Now, my other Instagram page is focused on my Freedom from Food Addiction brand. And so the first question that I have is, do you agree that it needs to be a separate Instagram account? And then I guess like my second question is like my interest and passion would be if I was gonna have a presence on Instagram, I've got way more authentic passion to be posting about the jewelry than the coaching practice. And so I guess I'm just looking for a little bit of guidance for you around all of that.
Cool. So I have my answer, and then I'm going to be a hypocrite of my answer.
Okay.
So my first instinct is yes. You can absolutely separate those into two accounts because the subject matter is different enough. And Instagram is built in such a way that if there are any posts that are relevant to both profiles, you can share to both at the same time. So it saves you a lot of time, energy, and effort from having to, all right, well, I want to share this to this profile, but I also want to share it to this one. Like, where am I going to invest my time today, right? So that makes things a little bit easier for you. Where I'm going to be a hypocrite of my answer is, if having two profiles is going to leave you doing nothing, where you're never going to use it and you're going to ignore it and you're like, man, I really should do this and I'm still not going to, then absolutely just put it on the same profile. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that and just own it to the max and let people see all aspects of what you're doing right now. And if you might be surprised, maybe somebody from your food addiction audience also is interested in this other thing you're talking about. And that gives you really unique value in your space, and something that a lot of other people may not, who have similar businesses may not actually be talking about. If there's another food addiction profile, what are the odds they're talking about jewelry, custom jewelry making, and seeing the creative process that you are part of? Probably slim to none. So that's really cool. I think that people get to know you more authentically at the same time. So my answer is both and, but ultimately whichever you'll take action on.
Thank you. I really like that, because I would say that what unifies all the brands is like embodying all of you. That's kind of like the underlying message of everything. And so, that's interesting. Megan, I'll follow up with you more.
That's all right. I know. And I'm wearing your jewelry now.
I know. She's got it. She's got the whole thing. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I had another part of that, but I know there's lots of people asking questions, so I'll.
No, it's awesome. As a fellow creative type, like I do art on the side, both digital and physical. Like I definitely have weeks, months, probably excessive amounts of time where like I'll post a lot very consistently and then I'll just stop for a good period of time and I'll post a lot very consistently. So if you're trying to avoid something like that and looking to really commit yourself to doing both, perhaps that's a way to kind of kill the monotony of posting the same thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. And Imani, you'll have to unmute yourself, I think.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
Amy.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
So IG, I actually don't have an issue with the platform, but I'm one of those people, I don't have an issue with vulnerability and like I'll put stuff out there. But if I didn't have a business, I probably wouldn't be on social media, period. Like that's just, I'd just be like, So it's challenging for me, I guess, specifically on IG because there's so much going on when I'm used to Facebook. There's like IGTV and there's stories. And then like even then I don't even know how people link certain things that, like they put the little things on there to animate like they were showing. And so if you're just like trying to just be like, okay, I'm going to commit to this IG thing, like besides just regular posting, it's just like one other thing that you should be doing to really maximize your IG presence.
Yeah, so what I'll say first is give yourself permission to not know everything. And there's always more that we can learn, and these software companies are going to create as many places and as many ways as possible for you to engage with them more. We talked about they really want you on there as much as possible because selfishly they want to finance their program and pay their employees through showing you ads, right? For you, besides regular posting, take advantage of the ability to share anything you're posting on Instagram directly to your Facebook page. If that makes it easier for you, then I highly encourage you to do that. And that one little trick, if that gets you posting on both of those platforms, whereas otherwise you would have not done that, that's what I would say. If you were going to post anyway, the next thing I would encourage you to do is use hashtags when you're posting. There's all these, websites and blogs talking about all these variety of hashtag strategies. And the truth is no one has it perfectly as much as the algorithms change. So give yourself permission again to just try it out and see what happens.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the hashtags piece, because for those of you that are new to Instagram or see the hashtags, you're like, what is that? What is going on? This is a way people can search for what they're looking for. So they may search for, hashtag. Oh, there you go. Great.
Perfect. I'm going to share for a second. I do have this piece in the document, and I break it down to make it as easy as possible for you guys to really think about using hashtags, be it for your first time or if you've done this a lot. Different strategies that you can begin implementing in your business as well. Not going to read through all of it, but most people use hashtags as a way to link to the idea of what you're talking about. And to make that really simple, if you have a dog in your picture, you can put hashtag dog, and that is perfectly okay. Right? It's the idea that when they click that little icon at the bottom that looks like a magnifying glass, whatever they search, if it's related to your hashtag, that's going to be shown to them. And then if people click on that hashtag, which works like a link, they see all the posts related to that hashtag. So people who do that on somebody else's profile may discover yours if you're using a similar hashtag. So in this case, I wrote about content relating to Mondays, Monday Madness or Monday Vibes or Monday Night or Monday Blues. Now, these are things that people right now are actively posting about. And then I give some examples of how people will discover you based on that, and then some tips going along with that and how you can build on top of that. And here's a couple of example photos, etc. This guy right here that I wanted to get to really quickly, their profile only has 192 followers. They live in a really small location, very small population. So you wouldn't normally expect people to be aware of their business, but because we live in the 21st century and we have all these resources available to us, their profile is being discovered by people who would have never heard of them otherwise unless they visited. So that's a really cool benefit to using hashtags. Is it's a free way to get people to find you and by things they were already searching for and said, hey, I'm interested in that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Junie Moon.
Hey there. Awesome material. I'm curious, you mentioned about the business profile, and I just did a quick on my phone and it said do a professional profile. Is that the same?
Yes, I believe, unless they've changed their lingo in the past month, which they've done that to me before in these presentations, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. That's it. Thanks.
It's a professional profile, and you can claim that you're a public figure, so you'll see that underneath your name. It'll say public figure. That's linked up to you. You can link that up to your business Facebook account as well. So that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Junie. And all those things, again, when you Google them, it'll simply take you through those step-by-step processes. That's exactly how I learned to do them, too. It's not a mystery on those things. Other questions? I'm going to go over to Leah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. You're unmuted. Oh. Nope, not anymore. Now you are.
Sorry, I'm in my kitchen now.
Yeah.
Okay, my quick question is if I already have an Instagram account, and do I just keep, and I actually had so that was my daughter, from Selena saying like way back in October, just switch it over. She switched it over for me to professional instead of like personal so that I could, see who's looked at it. But I haven't really done anything also for my Instagram because I guess I feel like how my daughter just walked in. I feel like I don't know if I should broach like family versus I also have the King Charles Cavalier, who was just in my lap, and also this new business venture that I'm starting. Do all that and just use my current Instagram or just start another one. And I kind of have heard like I heard the jewelry versus the coaching. And what's your suggestion if you're brand new to this new company that you're starting?
Quick question. Are you planning to be the face of your brand?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. In that case, go ahead and combine everything.
Okay.
Like I said, most people are going to spend time thinking like, oh, I need to spend time in this account. And usually they'll neglect one or the other. And it's usually whichever one takes more emotional energy to work on, which will probably be your new business venture. So
totally.
Definitely go ahead, feel comfortable with doing that. And if there ever comes a day that maybe you've dated that idea for a while and you realize, man, that's not how I want to proceed, then you can create another profile. And at least you know at that point.
Okay, so just keep going on it, and it's not going to be weird to the people that are just my friends because they're friends and family.
No,
and now I've got a business.
Like I said, I post a lot about the art I make, and I'm obviously trying to sell that art, but I don't want to come across as like salesy or inauthentic to my friends at the same time. But none of them have unfollowed me yet because of trying to share about the things I'm passionate about. I think it would be really strange to your friends if you stopped talking about the things you cared about. I think that's when you become authentic to people on these platforms, is when it's, if it became very like salesy, but there was none of you to that, then people might care a little less about your profile, even though they do care about you, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I see like, my kids, they'll post, one of their friends will post something, or my babysitter, and all of a sudden they have like 800 likes because it's just like, or
Right.
800, because they're doing it all the time. They're for no business venture, just because their friends are following them. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing like Selena was speaking about that I just want to mention, like when you were saying like, oh, should you share your kids and your dog? And I mean, that's part of who you are. And so when you share those pieces, especially because you are really going to be the face of your business, this is where people want to get to know you, Leah.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to get posting every day. Cool.
Go for it. Yeah.
Yes, go for it. And just make it a game. Like, see how much fun could you have? And for all of you, that's a question to ask, like, how much fun could I have with this? And like, how much could I enjoy this? It doesn't mean that it takes over your life. Like when I was doing that post for the retreat yesterday, it probably took like about 10 minutes to go through those quick little screens. And I'm just pulling pictures off my phone that I already had saved that I knew I was going to post at some point. It's not about you needing to post all day long every day. You just sit down and like, I'm going to go through this. And now, like Travis said, Instagram will send more people to look at your story and to pay attention when they see you're on more often.
Cool. Okay. So go, and also, like you said, you had already taken those pictures. So go back and use all my cool pictures that I've just taken for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's
I know
totally
you've been
fine.
traveling and doing all these things. Yeah. So you
Cool.
can use
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Travis.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
One more quick thing on that. Sometimes people feel that if they post about something once, they can never talk about it again. Like, oh, I've already shared about my business. Guess I can't talk about that anymore. And just for all of you guys, I encourage you to know that's not the case, that you're more than welcome to keep talking about the things that matter to you, that are who you are, that are, a part of your business or that you're passionate about.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
100%. And I know, Travis, how are you for time? Do you need to pop off right now, or?
I do not have a hard stop, so happy to keep answering questions if you guys want me to. Otherwise, I can hop off right now.
Yeah, we can go for 10 more minutes or so. I do want to screen share Sage's profile too, so you can see what you've been working on.
Lunchtime.
And just, yeah, go ahead and mute yourselves if you're
Sorry.
no problem. That's real life. And so I'm sharing Sage's. She's at over 2,000 followers now, 2,300. And one thing that we didn't talk about is just at the top of the page here, what you're seeing are highlights from stories. So Travis did say that those stories disappear within 24 hours. I always thought, what a waste. I'm not going to use my time like that. And until someone pointed out to me that you can save those save the pieces of the story that you want people to be able to watch again, like retreat highlights for mine, for instance, and put them in these little highlight buttons at the top of your page, so that when you post about things that you do want people to be able to go back and look at, like for Debbie, if you have, here's highlights of a bunch of different women wearing your jewelry, for instance, presenting on stage, then you could have that, women rocking your jewelry as a highlight. And then people can just scroll through and see, and ultimately they'll be able to see, it could be hundreds of clips of people, and it just really adds to that. Like, we get addicted to wanting to scroll through things and watch, and so you're playing into that of like, oh yeah, I want to see the next one. So highlights help for that. And then Sage has ones on here it's a blend of video clips and posts and calls to action. So getting the tickets to the live event, for instance, like here she has like 3 mindset tools to embrace visibility, and then talking about the shifts that she speaks about, and then you can just hit play and it's gonna play the video there. So you can have I think, let me see, yes.
Underneath so much of the resistance.
So you can have that, and people could be looking on their computers and watching this, or most of the time they're watching it on their phone in the Instagram app, but I'm on my computer to be able to share with you. So there is a blend of, again, these, like some of the quotes here and posts where it's just her being real and playful and in regular life, and then having things like this, like the video that says body breakdown. Look, it said 464 plays on that one. So you get to see what gets people's attention versus like 29 likes on a flower picture. It's a big difference. So people are like, body breakdown, let me see that one. And so you get to watch that and see what are people engaging with. So I just wanted to show you that as well, so you can go check out, just look for, it's under Sage Levine on, like that's the Instagram handle there that you can look up. And I'm gonna pop back over to some Q&A time, Travis. So Dr. Kelly, I know you are amidst the question with me.
Yeah, so a couple questions. So first of all, like when you were showing the stories and the writing, like there's some just like a very simple logistical things I don't know how to do. And, I know it's like, so where do I go to learn like the basics of the basics? Like the usage of the basic functions.
Yeah, so there are a lot of resources. I think that for a lot of it, you can use the document that I've made for you guys. Instagram and their parent company, Facebook, have produced a wide and easy to follow catalog of how to get started, because they want to make it easy for you guys as well. Honestly, there are a lot of really easy to follow YouTube tutorials as well, and there's someone in particular, and I can't think of their name, that I would normally recommend to you guys, but I would just search on there for both general and specific questions, and there are going to be a lot of very visual walkthroughs, because people love sharing the things they know about for you guys to get started. So for example, you mentioned the like squiggly text where it looks like somebody wrote on there. You can definitely Google as unspecific as you possibly can, like how to make squiggly text on Instagram stories, and there'll definitely be a very specific, easy to follow walkthrough for that, both produced by Facebook and produced by, the random person at home who's trying to teach you how, 10 social media tips, right?
Right, right. Yeah, just some like basic things like Megan, when you're showing the picture, like a picture with like the writing on top, like how do you do that? Like the simplest of simple.
Oh, for
So,
sure.
I mean, I can obviously, those of you who like coach with me, I can show you things like that in a session if you want. If you walk through that, and what Travis is saying, you can definitely do that just by Googling it. And that's how I learned it as well. Just by Googling and saying, how do I do this? Because I thought the same thing. I'm like, you go from how do I do this? It just doesn't make sense. Like that kind of overwhelmed phase to, I wonder how to do this.
Right.
And then see what the answer is, and it really shifts it because it's all out there. Like he said, people love to make videos of how to do these things that are just, you think it might take forever, but it's really like a 5-minute video tutorial, and then you know how to do it forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
My next question is, I've been doing Transformational Tuesdays, and up until this point, I've been just streaming on Facebook. And last week, for the first time, I did a streaming on Instagram and had it as a story. And what I didn't realize is that it disappears after 24 hours, and there's like a little thing to make it a highlight. So I'm just wanting to know, and sometimes I'll talk for like 20 minutes. Is it Instagram story that I'm wanting? Is that really the best use of a teaching? Like I'm just, again, this is like semantics, but what's the best use of like a regular weekly conversation that's content rich to best use it on Instagram?
So for you, I'm going to give you 2 options and then allow you to be decisive and date one of those ideas for a while.
Okay.
There are 2 options that most people think of, and that's either Instagram Live or IGTV. And neither of those is wrong, but it's all up to what you want out of it the most and where you think you would be adding the most value to your following. So
Okay.
The differences are pretty straightforward. If you post on, or if you share on Instagram Live and you're having an authentic conversation, as people are watching you live, it allows for them to give you live feedback and you can be very interactive. But it does disappear after some time unless you add it to your highlight.
Okay.
Now, if you were to post directly to IGTV, that's really just Instagram's fancy way of saying, hey, we decided to allow you guys to post longer videos on here, and here's how you do that.
Okay.
IGTV is pretty straightforward. You would upload a video, ideally vertical, but just this month, actually, they let you do it horizontally now for all profiles. So that's cool. But you can post video to IGTV like you would think of on YouTube, and then share that directly to your profile. A little preview of that. And so people can click and watch and engage with you in a way that's very new and that Instagram is very excited to promote with the hopes that it catches on like a YouTube.
Okay.
So all of your trainings can be stored there and you can have the satisfaction of being a little ahead of the curve. And the other little detail I'll mention for IGTV, and I know that there's a lot we could talk about with that, there are 2 benefits with it that you don't get anywhere else on the platform. One is that you get an IGTV profile badge up in your highlights, so people can click onto that and see all of your IGTV videos. So those are stored separately from your feed, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
Pictures, here they see your videos. And then secondly, when you share a link on Instagram, in a normal post, your users aren't going to be able to click on that. They have to go to your bio, and that's why people recommend Linktree, so that you can give them options of what they can select.
Unless you have over 10,000 followers, then people can click directly in a story.
Yes, and with IGTV, they make an exception for your profile to where anyone can click the link you post in an IGTV comment or a little section where you add the text below it. So if you're wanting to promote anything from a blog about your latest vacation to buy my program, you're going to be able to do that without having to hit that follower limit.
Awesome. That's a great tip. I love this new addition.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right, so I'll check that out. And the last one is just a really quick, specific question. My username on Instagram is Dr. Kelly Shu, and nobody knows how to spell it right. So when I'm sending people to it, can I just say Dr. Kelly and they'll find me? You know what I mean? I know that's like very specific, but in my languaging of asking people to follow me, what's your recommended tip?
I would share your whole name and I would tell them how to spell it out.
Okay.
So, it's Dr. Kelly Shu and that is spelled like this. And if you can show them on the screen, absolutely do that in some way, or link it in the footer of your email or something like that. So people.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right. I know we're really at time. We're over time right now, and I know there's lots of other hands. So I just encourage you to ask the questions on our Facebook page. Ask the questions for your coaches as well. I'm also going to have another Q&A call. I think it's tomorrow. Is the let me just double check it. Yes, I'm leading the All Access Q&A call tomorrow afternoon. So it'll be another opportunity to do laser coaching questions. So I'm happy to have you bring these questions to me then. But I just really want to thank Travis for you joining us and answering so many questions. I love all of your enthusiasm. And I just encourage you to not get into the overwhelm, but to give yourself permission to be a beginner at this and to know that you're growing it over time, that you can start first step would be just downloading the app on your phone and choosing your Instagram handle and then moving forward from there. And we'll get you the handout as well from Travis. Thank you so much for putting that together, because I know that has a lot more that can answer everybody's questions in there. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all of you for only bringing yourselves and your questions. And you'll be able to find Travis that way from the handout too. And like we said, this could be a great next step for those of you who already have six-figure businesses or are moving in that direction, to have somebody else support you with your business growth. That is a great next step. And for those of you who are just getting started with downloading it and figuring out the basics, you've got plenty to work with from what we shared today. So just take a deep breath and allow yourself to take one clear action to move forward from today. And I'll see many of you tomorrow on the All Access call. All right. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.